door after that.
Okay. Well, hello there. I
Hello,
gotta
how
put
are
my
you?
musical instrument away.
You play guitar?
Oh yeah, yeah. But very professional, I realize.
I have always
So,
wanted to.
okay, I've got some questions for you, and
Yeah.
this is for Events Magazine Online. So, you took some time away from acting before coming back with roommates, and what made this the right project to return for?
Yeah. I think when I initially read the script, one of the first things that sort of jumped out to me was how similar I felt it was to a lot of iconic sort of early 2000s, late 90s films. It felt very similar to those. And those are some films that kind of were like my comfort movies, like Mean Girls, I love so much.
Sure.
And that felt like a very close comp to this. And also it being written by SNL writers, like I so miss the days when SNL writers were making feature films as well, because I think that they're all so talented and funny, and a lot of the movies that they make sort of become these like culturally significant films. So that was the first thing. And then just Alex's character in general, like I felt like I related to a lot of the sort of situations that he was finding himself in and just sort of figuring out who he was. And I didn't have that growing up when I was his age. And I didn't have those sort of characters that I could look up to in film sort of earlier in my life. And so being that person and being able to sort of be that for other people and like younger kids in the next generation is something that I thought was important.
Sure. And of course, it's an Adam Sandler related movie, so that's like a
Definitely a
definitive
bucket
Adam
list.
Sandler, or I mean, a definitive Saturday Night Live connection right there.
Yeah, and doing anything with Adam Sandler is like a total bucket list check mark off the box now.
Sure. And when it comes to your character of Alex, what drew you most to that story?
Yeah, I mean, when I was his age, I was going through a lot of the same sort of like self-discovery and issues around sort of my identity and figuring out where I fit in and dealing with, bullying at school and feeling very self-conscious about who I was. And I feel that Alex is sort of going through that same thing. I came out at 15 and Alex comes out in the film, he's 16. So that immediately was like a very close connection to myself. Um, and then I also have an older sister as well. And there was something interesting about his relationship with his sister in this film that was something maybe I didn't quite have. Me and my sister kind of fought like cats and dogs growing up. We're very close now, but there was definitely like that sibling rivalry. And I think that Devin and Alex don't have that at all. They have a very like close relationship and close bond. And that was something that I really wanted to just like portray and dive into, and something that kind of admired about the two of them.
Yeah, there's a camaraderie, is what you're saying. I think that's the right word, or
Yeah,
one of
there
the
was
right words
definitely a
you can use.
camaraderie and just a support of each other that I thought was really like beautiful.
But yeah, it's nice if characters like brothers and sisters can get along, because it's more common, I think, to have them at each other's throats
Yeah, ripping each
in a
other's
movie
hair
or
out.
something. Like there's usually a source of drama between siblings, so it almost seems rare for them to get along, like brothers and sisters or brothers and brothers, just siblings in general.
And I have friends who have siblings who were very close with their siblings and like didn't have that sort of rivalry. And that was something that I was always kind of like jealous of in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
So it was cool to be able to play that.
So, how did you approach portraying Alex's relationship with his sister? What were your underlying like what did you draw from?
Yeah, I pulled a lot from because the thing that was most important to me was that they were like best friends first. Like they are siblings, but I think that their relationship is a very sort of like best friend relationship as well. So I pulled a lot from my relationships with my friends and sort of the support that we give to each other. That was like the number one thing that I like tried to focus on. And then when you have a sibling, there is always that sort of like love for them no matter what. And that was a lot easier because that was so like I experienced that. I love my sister, no matter what. So that was a easy thing to pull from. I'm very lucky I have a sister and was able to take directly from, my own relationship with her and the love I have for her.
Well, it's good if you can speak if you can still speak to your family members, of course, like you don't want to have them be estranged or something. So when you're working alongside Sadie Sandler and Chloe East in the movie, what was the dynamic like on set with them?
Yeah, I think we all kind of hit it off kind of right off the bat, which was really nice. We're all close in age and we all kind of keep up with the same sort of TikToks and reels. And so there were a lot of like things that we could talk about in between, takes. And also Sadie, she's incredibly sweet, and very like humble and chill and just a really easy person to talk to, which was super helpful in sort of building our like relationship and chemistry, which then translated onto screen as well. And that made it a lot easier. We would go and watch like movies when we had days off. We would go to the AMC and see movies. And we saw, I know what you did last summer. I saw with Chloe and her husband, which was cool. And that
The
also,
original or the newer one?
the new one, because it had come
Okay.
out right when we were filming. And so those sort of experiences offset, not just in between takes, but just like on those evenings we had off or whatever, were really helpful in sort of building that like on-screen chemistry.
That's cool. Like I think people out there they like the idea of people actually being friends off the set as well as being able to, you know, collaborate on the
Yeah.
screen.
And it doesn't always happen. And like
Sure.
we are coworkers, and so like sometimes you don't like your coworkers and that happens and you just have to, power through that. But it is really, really helpful and really nice when everyone kind of gets along and they become friends. Like I'm actually texting like three of my co-stars, Sadie and Jaya and Bella right now. We're gonna do a little watch party with ourselves tomorrow night. We're gonna hang out and watch it together, which is just like so cool to be able to do.
And I understand that you're also a musician and a painter. So did those creative outlets influence how you approached this movie, or would you say they're mostly like different from each other?
I think they all feed into each other. And I think there's a lot of actors, a lot of musicians, a lot of artists who sort of go into different disciplines as well at the same time because I feel like creativity generally is kind of boundless and can be translated between multiple things. So each one sort of does, it influences the other one. Um, I will say that like music for me feels more personal and feels more like personal narrative than acting. And of course, with acting, I'm pulling from my own life as well. But at the end of the day, you are like portraying a character and trying to do justice for that character versus music feels more like I'm sort of doing justice for myself in a way and using it as like a therapeutic sort of outlet.
And the painting as well, I'm sure it has some of those properties, right?
Does. I actually would bring I brought my iPad with me because that's like the easiest medium, I guess, digital to transfer across the country and store and
Sure.
have with me all the time. And I use that a lot just to sort of calm myself down and get me in the right headspace. It's really helpful for that as well.
So when it comes to the music, which artists or bands have shaped your sound, would you say?
Well, I have a couple behind me right now.
Okay, yeah, I do see some of those.
I have always been a huge fan of Lana Del Rey. I think she's one of the like greatest lyricists of this generation. I think she's incredibly talented in the way that she's able to sort of weave words together in these really poetic ways that are dark and haunting and also really beautiful. I think it's something that's always been very resonant with me.
Sure.
And I'm also a huge fan of Ethel Cain, as is Sadie. That was something we bonded over a lot. Um, she's another one of those artists that has sort of a haunting sound that I'm just really drawn to. I've always been drawn to these like melancholic, sad artists. Um, and I also am a fan of like, Radiohead, and the Smiths and Fiona Apple.
Those are all people I'm more familiar with.
Yes, those are definitely, they're a little bit older of artists, but I think that their sort of lyrics and sound kind of transcends time, which is really nice
Sure.
when an artist has that. Like it does not feel like placeable at one point. It always sort of resonates with people.
And one thing you'll discover, like as you get older, like you're gonna find it strange that the music you grew up listening to starts to become like the oldies.
I know I'm going to be talking about
So,
Lana, and people are going to be like, "Oh my God, you're so old."
yeah, yeah. It's a weird experience, you know.
Yeah.
So, how about actors, like or movies? What movies have influenced you?
I'm a huge fan of, there's a A24 film that I don't think got as much recognition or credit as it really should have. It's called Waves. It's with Alexa Demi, and that movie, I think the performances in it are just very like authentic and real and grounded. And whenever I'm watching something, that is kind of the first thing that I'm looking for is I don't want to be taken out of a film um, by the characters not feeling authentic or feeling overdone. And so that film, I think, just really felt resonant to me in that way. I'm also a huge fan of the X series, another A24 series, X Pearl and Maxine. That is
Oh,
my
sure.
upper limit of horror. I am not a huge, I can't watch horror that much because I am a big baby. I would say that X is my upper limit. It's a little bit creepy and gory at times, but it also is just a great film. I also love Bodies, 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 another horror, but it's more of a comedic horror. And I'm a huge fan of Rachel Sennett. I think that she's hilarious. I just love watching her. She's so funny. And Jodie Comer is another actress that I'm a huge fan of. Her role in Killing Eve, I think is such a great performance, and her range is like insane. And her ability to sort of play these characters within a character in that show was like so fun and cool to watch. And she's able to sort of create this like, I don't know, psychopath character that you also kind of fall in love with at the same time, which is really cool.
So these are all like movie recommendations for people out there if
Yeah.
you're interested in checking them out.
And my favorite
So,
series, Killing Eve.
did working on Roommates connect you in a like a meaningful way? Like, I think a lot of people want to know like what the story meant for you.
Yeah, I definitely was like connected to it a lot. And I think what I take from it and what I hope that a lot of people take from it is sort of communication being really important, and not bottling up your feelings or kind of hiding from who you are. I think just standing in your truth and being open with the people around you is really important. And it's something that I need to do more of. I'm a very like anti-confrontational type of person, and I can be a bit of a people pleaser, much like Devin is in the film. But we see how that can kind of go south very quickly. So that's what I hope people take away is just to be open and honest with the people that are like in your life.
All right, and when it comes to the LGBTQ angle in the story, what would your message be about that? When it comes to this movie, and I guess just in general with the way the world is right now.
Yeah, I think it's really scary right now. I find myself being unsure and scared right now with everything going on. It's hard to see a community that I love so much being sort of targeted. And that's a really scary position to be in. But I hope that with this film and with LGBTQ characters sort of being more prominent, I hope that that gives people an outlet and something to like make them feel good or feel represented in that way. I think as a community, it's important to like find people that you can relate to, not just in film and TV, but in your life, and also like kind of have that camaraderie and that community. It's very important in sort of keeping yourself sane. It's very easy to get wrapped up in headlines and in the news
Sure.
and kind of spiral.
Well, and it just in addition to that, there is, fear that we might invade Canada or something crazy like that. Like it's not just that sort of issue. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on.
There's all
And
kinds of crazy things going on in the news. So it's always good to just find that community of people
yeah,
that you trust and that you can kind of relax with and talk about things with.
yeah. It's just tricky to even relax about anything right now.
Yeah. I hope that this
And
film gives people an opportunity to just laugh and have a
yeah,
moment to escape.
because people do need that. They need to be able to take a break and have a little bit of comfort in life and art and have
Exactly.
creative pursuits and you
I also
know
think it's times like these that like creativity kind of flourishes and like becomes
sure.
really important. Like stories become really important. Um, I think we're in like the start of a sort of creative renaissance in a way with everything going on, um, especially with people kind of finding their communities and then building upon that and creating stories from that.
All right, is there anything else you would like to add as like a final observation?
As a final observation or a final note, I would just say to watch Roommates on April 17th. And I would also say to talk to the people around you about things going on in your
Um,
life. And I just hope that the film resonates and people get a good laugh out of it.
all right. I also want to ask about making this into a podcast episode. I'd probably only get like 5 people to watch it, but still, it's up to you. Would you be open to that idea?
Yeah, if
Okay.
that's something that you want to do, I'm sure we could make that work.
All right. Sounds good. I should have asked that earlier, but I didn't think to ask it. So,
Yeah, no worries.
all right. So, I guess she'll boot me out of here because otherwise I might glitch the system